Welcome back, guys. It's NFL Week 3 review with the Island Fantasy Views. We're back at it. Going to go over some hot games, some hot names. Week 3 of NFL action. Like I said, Island Fantasy Views, you can check us out, islandfantasyviews.com. Be sure to check us out when we drop our new written content. But as for now, you can always find us on the Black Swan Podcast Network. That's at THABLACKSWAAN on all social media. Let's dive right into it. First game coming out the gate, we want to talk about the Chargers and the Chiefs. Everyone thought that the Chiefs was just going to take over. They had them winning out the division, but don't sleep on Justin Herbert and the Chargers. I'm still a little salty at what they did to my brother last year when they put that rookie in and took my boy Tyrod Taylor out. But hey, you know, things happen. Justin Herbert, he had 4 passing touchdowns, 281 yards. Mike Williams had himself an amazing day. He was all over the field catching passes. He had himself 7 receptions for 122 yards and 2 touchdowns. Austin Eckler was doing his thing behind the line of scrimmage. He had a nice little day producing. But Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and crew just didn't have enough firepower to overtake the Chargers. Next up, we have the Buffalo Bills and the Washington football team. Josh Allen stomped all over that team on Sunday. He had himself a game. He was one of the highest rated fantasy players of the week. He had 5 touchdowns in total, 4 passing, 1 rushing, 358 yards, no interceptions, 32 for 43. He had himself a game. Helping him out was Emmanuel Sanders, who had 2 touchdowns on the day. Also on the ICU list for the tight ends, Dawson Knox. Josh Allen seemed to rely on him quite a bit, and he had himself a little touchdown game. He, was doing some things. But for the Washington football game, Tyler Heineke, I think it's Heineke, couldn't really get it done. He had 2 interceptions, 2 passing touchdowns. Terry McLaurin did okay. Antonio Gibson didn't make too much noise running, but he had himself a pretty decent day in receiving. If you're in your PPR leagues, he is a good running back to have on your team. He led the team overall in receiving yards, but the Washington team just couldn't pull it out. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, I know their fans are going crazy. He had himself a game, like I said. Definitely gonna keep a lookout for that team for the rest of the season. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Arizona Cardinals. The crowd, the stadium was going crazy in Duval. They started out lit. They thought they had the game in control. But the little engine that could, Kyler Murray, he came out full force with his Bird gang. James Conner, he had 2 rushing touchdowns for the Birds on that day. A.J. Green and Christian Kirk over 100 yards each for Kyler Murray. And they put up 31 points on the Jaguars. And Lawrence, who is just not looking good. This is, I believe, his 3rd week with 2 interceptions. He had a couple passing touchdowns, but 2 interceptions week after week after week is just not going to get the job done. But shout out Jamal Agnew. He had a 109-yard return, missed field goal kick for a touchdown. That absolutely had the crowd going crazy. The announcer was going crazy. It came after one of the longest attempted field goal kicks from the Cardinals, and the kicker missed it. He caught it in the back of the end zone, and just amazing run. You're going to see it there. But shout out the Bird gang. Beat up on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know what they're going to do with Lawrence. I'm not sure I'm going to keep him on my waiver wire lookout because he's just keep throwing too many interceptions. But he's not looking too bad. But just wasn't enough. The Patriots and the New Orleans Saints. Just want to shout out my boy Jameis Winston. He didn't have to do too much, only threw the ball 21 times, 13 completions, but he had 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Like I said, he could be the spokesperson for LASIK. Of course, Alvin Kamara had himself a nice little game on the ground, no rushing touchdowns. But the Patriots and Mac Jones are definitely in trouble. He looked horrible. He threw the ball over 50 times, only got 270 yards, but 3 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, and he's just absolutely not looking good behind the line of scrimmage for the Patriots. I do want to shout out a couple of their wide receivers, though. Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers, they both had themselves a nice little game, almost 100 yards apiece. Kendrick Bourne had a touchdown, so you just might want to keep a lookout for those, because Jones looks horrible. He has an interception problem, but he's definitely throwing the ball out there. Like I said, they threw the ball 50 times. Does that sound like a Bill Belichick offense to you? I don't know. Definitely want to keep my eyes out for those receivers there in New England. Like I said, shout out the Saints. Jameis Winston, definitely want to keep your eye on him. He's someone to look forward to in the waiver weeks coming up. So, you know, no interception, Jameis. I'm loving it. When you drop a deuce, you don't look at it, you don't think about it, you flush it, and you move on. There was no brotherly love in Arlington, Texas. The Dallas Cowboys absolutely demolished my beloved Philadelphia Eagles, who completely shot the bed. But you know, I'm going to stick to what my quarterback had to say. When you drop a deuce, you don't think about it, you don't look at it, you flush it and move on. But nevertheless, the Eagles absolutely did not show up on Monday night against the Cowboys. Miles Sanders, he had 2 runs. Jalen Hurts decided he wanted to handle most of the rushing duties. The receivers had a couple of yards here and there. Jalen Hurts just, you know, I'm not a big fan. I'm continuing to not be a big fan. Had a couple interceptions. But shout out the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, they definitely did what they had to do. Ezekiel Elliott finishing as a top running back. I know he started off slow for the season, but those owners out there, you might want to hold on a little faith. But if you're feeling edgy, I think he's going to catch a high price if you want to put him up as trade bait. But he absolutely returned on his top #1 pick for fantasy owners this week. He had himself 2 touchdowns and almost 100 yards rushing. He had a couple of receptions as well for you PPR players. Amari Cooper didn't really have it going for the Cowboys, but it didn't matter when your offense is putting up 41 points and your defense helped out a little too. Shout out those defensive players. Eagles, I'm disappointed. But hey, you flush it and move on. The Las Vegas Raiders, still got to get used to saying that, but they had a thriller overtime victory against the Miami Dolphins. I don't know why all Dolphins fans like to keep suffering, but you know, another heartbreaking loss for them. The Raiders kicker, shout him out, Daniel Carson, able to have them win in overtime, like I said, on a winning field goal kick. The Raiders, Derek Carr, he had himself a nice little game, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, over 300 yards passing. He had himself about 43 attempts, and you know, he was able to do what he had to do. I honestly don't know why Derek Carr, if I could just take this little minute to rant about it, I don't know why people don't like Derek Carr. He's not always been in the best position to succeed. I've never been the biggest John Gruden fan, but honestly, you can't really knock the results. They're 3-0. I also want to shout out Peyton Barber, was able to come in and fill in on the ground for the Raiders. He had himself a nice little week. But like I say, the Miami Dolphins, another heartbreaking loss for them. Jacoby Brissett had to step in for Tua Tagovailoa. He is out. Who knows what's really going on there, but Jacoby Brissett, I felt that, you know, he stepped in and handled himself pretty decently. Didn't have any passing touchdowns, but he threw the ball 49 times. He really targeted Mike Gesicki. He's definitely on the ICU list for the tight ends this week. He had himself about 10 receptions. Jalen Waddle had over 10 receptions himself as well. Like I said, Jacoby Brissett couldn't really get any passing touchdowns, and he had a couple sacks. Didn't really look the best, but if he's going to have to fill in for Tagovailoa, he's definitely someone I want to keep a lookout for. Previewing a couple NFL Week 4 games, we're going to start out with Monday Night Football. AFC West divisional matchup between the Chargers and the Raiders. Definitely want to keep our eyes out for that one. Both teams have had a high-flying offense the last couple of weeks. Derek Carr and the Raiders. Like I said, Peyton Barber is a name you're going to want to see if he's going to be filling in again. I definitely want to check out Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Mike Williams is having himself a season. Austin Eckler is doing a great job for the Chargers on the ground so far, and I think it's going to be a high-powered fantasy offensive game. Definitely want to be there for Monday Night Football. Another divisional matchup in the NFC West. Both teams are lossless on the season. The LA Rams, still got to get used to that one as well. And the Arizona Cardinals going to be matching up 4 o'clock on Sunday. Another high-powered fantasy game. Matthew Stafford has been one of the best quarterbacks in real life and in fantasy for the year so far. Definitely looking good with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. Those guys are doing amazing things. And Kyler Murray, the little engine that could, the Bird Gang, 3-0, don't want to count them out. The defense has fallen off since the first week, but the offense has definitely picked up. James Conner had himself a nice little week. We want to see if he could continue, and we're definitely going to want to check that one out. I promise it's going to be a good one. Sunday, 4 o'clock, NFC West divisional matchup. How long that was? How could we not talk about it? It's been hyped up since God knows when. It's all everybody could talk about. Sunday night football, the Patriots and the Buccaneers. Tom Brady and the revenge game against the Patriots. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be that good of a game. I think the Buccaneers are going to mollywop them. Like I said, Mac Jones is not looking good for the Patriots. They're not having a good start to the season. I'm hopeful to see if he's going to throw that many times again. I'm going to keep an eye out for a couple of those wide receivers. But I'm expecting Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Mike Evans, and the rest of the crew to fully come out and do what they need to do against the Patriots. Who knows if we're going to see anything from their running backs, Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. They haven't really made any impact on the season, but we're going to see if they're going to do something. But definitely going to be hyping this one up. Patriots and the Buccaneers, Sunday night football. Don't want to miss it. And that is going to wrap us up, folks. It's Island Fantasy Views. Don't forget you can check us out at islandfantasyviews.com for our written content. Thanks for joining us again on the Black Spawn Podcast Network. That's THABLACKSWAAN. You can find us on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Thanks, and, going to keep bringing that content for you.